Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Old Man and the Read. My name is Jerry. Today I'm going to do a presentation. This is part of my literary awards presentations of books I've read. And this will be the Neustadt International Prize for Literature. Now, this is one of the awards I wasn't aware of before I started doing these literary awards. I'd never heard of it, and it has a lot of writers, incredible writers, that I wasn't aware of either. So it was, for me, a great discovery. I've found some really fantastic writers from this award. So I'll be presenting that today. This is actually awarded by the University of Oklahoma, and it's very similar to the Nobel Prize. In fact, it's America's version of the Nobel Prize. It's awarded for to an individual writer for a body of work, and it's given to poets, novelists, or playwrights. So the award began in 1970, and with that, I'll begin my presentation. The first winner of the award was Giuseppe Ungaretti of Italy. He wrote poetry and literary an essay, or literary criticism and essay, and I've just read one book of poetry by him, and that is Allegria. Then there was no award in 1971. In 1972, actually, I guess this award is just given every other year, it looks like. So in 1972, the winner was a well-known writer, Gabriel Garcia Marquez. He's somebody who I actually had read quite a bit of already. He's from Colombia, and he wrote novel and short story, and I'll give the list of books of his that I've read. Probably his best-known book is 100 Years of Solitude. This is Collected Stories. Of Love and Other Demons. This is a short story collection, Strange Pilgrims. The General in His Labyrinth. And the last of his books that I read is Love in the Time of Cholera. In 1974, the winner was Francis Ponge. I'm not sure the pronunciation. He's from France, and he wrote poetry, and I've read one book of selected poems. In 1976, this is a poet that one of my favorite poets, Elizabeth Bishop from the U.S., and she wrote poetry and short stories. I actually just have two books, but this is her, the Collected Prose by Elizabeth Bishop, and then this is the Complete Poems, 1927 to 1979. A wonderful poet. And actually her prose was, it was almost like reading her poetry. So she's an excellent writer. In 1978, the winner was Czesław Miłosz. Again, one of my favorite poets, and he's from Poland. He wrote poetry and essay, and his essays, to me, read almost like his poetry. So I've read quite a bit of his work. So the first I have is the Issa Valley. The Land of Ulro. This is the ABCs of Milosh, or Milosh's ABCs. The seizure of power. The captive mind. The mountains of Parnassus. Beginning with my streets. To begin where I am. Native realm. Visions from San Francisco Bay, and I should note he, in his later years, lived in Berkeley and taught at Berkeley, Cal Berkeley. And some of his poetry, Roadside Dog, Second Space, Selected Poems, and finally another book also titled Selected Poems, but this is 1931 to 2004. Then in 1980, the winner was Josef Skvorecky of Czechoslovakia, and he wrote novel and short story, and I've read, looks like, 3 of his books. The first is The Miracle Game, then The Bass Saxophonist, or The Bass Saxophone, and The Cowards. (1982) was won by Octavio Paz of Mexico. He wrote poetry and essay, and I've just read one book of essay by him, In Light of India. Next, in 1984, the winner was Paavo Hivikko of Finland. He wrote poetry and essay, and I read just the one book, 1 and 20. Then in 1986, the winner was one of those writers I really wasn't familiar with at all, but I really like his work, and I've actually read quite a few of his books. It's Max Frisch from Switzerland, and he wrote novel, so I've got Man in the Holocene, Montauk, Bluebeard, The Firebugs. This is actually a play. I'm Not Stiller. Homo Faber. An Answer from the Silence. Gotten Bien. And that's actually, I have another book that is titled A Wilderness of Mirrors, and it's actually the same book as Gotten Bien. And that's everything I've read from Max Frisch. In 1988, the winner was Raha Rao of India. He wrote novel and short story, and I've just read one book by him. Pura, Canthapura. Okay, in 1990 the winner was Thomas Tranströmer of Sweden. He wrote poetry, and I've just read one book of poetry from him, The Half-Finished Heaven. Uh, 1992 was the winner was uh, Hale Cabral de Melo Neto. Uh, he's from Brazil, wrote poetry, and I've just read one book by him, Education by Stone. Really liked his poetry, though. I've just only read the one. In 1994, the winner was Edward Camus Brathwaite of Barbados. He wrote poetry and essay, and I read one book, Middle Passages. Then in 1996, the winner was Asia Jabar of Algeria. She wrote novel and an essay, and again, I've read just one book, So Vast the Prison. Okay, in 1998, the winner was Nuruddin Farah of Somalia. He wrote novel and short story, and I've only read two of his books, Sweet and Sour Milk and Gifts. Okay, then in the year 2000 is an incredible writer I had never read until I started doing this. His name is David Malouf from Australia. Wrote novels, short story, and poetry, and just a fabulous writer. Just his prose and is just like his verse, just incredible. So I read quite a bit of his work. So first is Jono. This is just one little book, The One Day. It's just a short little essay, really. This is a book of poetry, Earth Hour. Then Ransom. Harlan's Half Acre. The Conversations at Curlow Creek. Dream Stuff. In the Imaginary Life. Remembering Babylon. Fly Away Peter. The Great World. And the last of his books is Every Move I Make. But it's just a fabulous writer. Anybody who likes lyrical prose, he's a great one to read. Okay, in 2002, the winner was Alvaro Mullis from Colombia. He wrote novel, and I've only read one book, The Adventures and Misadventures of Mark Mackrol. In 2004, the winner was Adam Zagajewski from Poland. He wrote novel and poetry and essay, and I've read two of his books. This is Asymmetry Poems and Slight Exaggeration. In the year 2006, the winner was Claribel Alegria of Nicaragua, El Salvador. She wrote novel, poetry, and essay, and I've only read one book, Tunnel to Canto Grande. In 2008, the winner was Patricia Grace from New Zealand. She wrote novel and short story, and again, I've only read one book by her, Potiki. In 2010, the winner was Duo from China. He wrote poetry, and I read only one book of poetry, but it's really quite good. The Boy Who Catches Wasps. In 2012, the winner was a fairly well-known writer that I'd already read, Rohinton Mistry from India. He wrote novel and short story, and I've only read 4 books, but he's not very prolific, I think. As far as I know, this is all he's written. The first is Tales from Firoz Shah Bagh, and it's all stories about one apartment complex, I believe it was. The next is A Fine Balance. Family Matters. And the last is Such a Long Journey. He's one of those writers, I wish there was more of his work out there, but that's all I've managed to find so far. Then in 2014, it's another one of those writers I had not heard of, but man, I really love his work. It's Mia Koto of Mozambique. He wrote novel and short story, and I've read quite a few of his books. The Blind Fisherman, The Tuner of Silences, The Last Flight of the Flamingo, Rain and Other Stories, Voices Made Night, Under the Fragapani, Every Man is a Race, Sleepwalking Land, A River Called Time, Sea Loves Me, Confession of the Lioness, and the last of his books is Woman of the Ashes. Fabulous writer, though. I really like his work. In 2016, the winner was Dubravka Ugresic from Croatia. She wrote novel and short story, and I've just read one book by her, Lend Me Your Character. Then in 2018, another writer I just really love. I had actually read a couple of her books before I started this, but I think I've read everything, or most about everything that she's written. It's Edwidge Danticat. She's from Haiti and now resides in the U.S., but she wrote novel and short story, and so I'll go through the books I've read from her. The first is The Art of Death. Breath, Eyes, Memory. Create Dangerously. The Dew Breaker. The Farming of Bones. Claire of the Sea Light. Brother, I'm Dying. Crick Crack. Untwine. And last of her books, Everything Inside. Again, another one of those just tremendously good writers. Speaking of tremendously good writers, in 2020, the winner was Ismail Kader from Albania. He wrote novel and short story. And again, he's a writer I wasn't aware of until I started doing these literary awards. And boy, I've read a ton of his books. And I've still got a few more, but I've almost gone through his entire production. The first is The Accident. Then Twilight of the Eastern Gods. The File on H. The Palace of Dreams. Broken April. The Ghost Rider. Concert. The General of the Dead Army. Chronicle in Stone. Agamemnon's Daughter. The Fall of the Stone City. A Girl in Exile. The Pyramid. The Traitor's Niche. The Three Arched Bridge. And the last of the books by Kader is The Siege. And then in 2022, the winner was Boubacar Boris Diop of Senegal. He wrote novel and essay and drama. I've only read one book by him, but it was a very good book, so I'll probably read more. And that is The Book of Bones. And so that presents my video on the Neustadt award. And some of these awards, just are so good because they present some incredible writers that I wasn't aware of. So this award in particular really did that. So I want to thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again on another video. Thanks.